Let's see if they take it up.
Yeah, okay. So I don't see any attendees yet, but
Not yet. I have had, one or two where there's nobody.
oh, really?
Don't, yeah.
Well, yeah, and I've had, like I said, it's interesting. Oh, here comes, okay,
There, we have one person.
two.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome everybody. So we'll give everyone a few more minutes to get logged in here.
Looks like everybody's already joining muted.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great. Okay. Hope everyone's doing well today. We're just getting everything set up and we'll wait a couple minutes and then we'll get started.
That's good.
I've already told my family to keep it down and keep the dogs away. So hopefully it'll be quiet on my end.
Somebody might sneak in like they do on the news.
I know, exactly. You never know.
All righty.
Okay. All right, let me just give it another minute here and then we'll get started.
Sounds good.
Okay, so it's 10 o'clock. Should we get started, Jill?
Let's get started.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Betsy Rewald, and I know some of you do know me, but I'm with Coldwell Banker Realty, and I have been a real estate agent for about 18 years. And I do work with a lot of people that are downsizing, moving to senior communities, and that type of thing. And so today we just wanted to go over all the things that you need to think about or all the questions you might have regarding getting ready to downsize, especially if you've been in your home for a long time. And I know a lot of people have lived in their homes for a long time. I think the longest I've seen is 62 years. So I don't know if anybody's been living in their home longer than that. And I have Jill Freeman with me here. She is from Gentle Transitions, and this is what she specializes in, is helping people downsize, helping people with their move and that type of thing. Jill, did you want to say anything real quick before we get started?
Just welcome everybody, and we're going to share a lot of information with you today. So hopefully, as you have questions, we'll take questions at the end, and you can just put them in the chat.
Yep. Okay, so we'll get started. I'm going to go over just a few things about the real estate market in general, the common questions that I get, and how things are going. So I'm going to start with a presentation, and if you have any questions, just go ahead and feel free to put them in the question box, and then we will get everything answered when we're through. We'll probably be about, I would say the presentation would maybe last around 45 to 60 minutes, depending. So let's get started. I am going to share my screen with you. And here we go. All right, so again, we're going to cover today where to start if you're thinking about downsizing. And we certainly know there's been a lot of just a lot going on with COVID and all the other things that have happened in the last year, and the market's been definitely crazy. So we'll just go through a few things, and if you guys, like I said, have any questions, just let me know. But we're going to cover the current housing market, selling during COVID, and some of the things that we've done to help to make that process smooth and safe. What's the best way to sell your house? And as far as, do you stay in the house? Do you leave? Do you move to your next place? Are you going to be renting, buying, or maybe relocating out of state? And then Jill's going to cover some common challenges that older adults face when making a transition, some moving tips for before, during, and after a move, and then downsizing and the dreaded, what to keep, what to get rid of, all the stuff that you've accumulated over the years. And just a little bit about me. I've been in the business, as I said, full-time for 18 years, moving my office this weekend from North Oaks to Arden Hills. I live in Lino Lakes, lived in Shoreview for a number of years, and I'm a full-time real estate agent. And again, I've specialized in senior moves, helping people move out of their last home into a senior community, or maybe from going from a big 2-story down to a townhome and that type of thing. So how's the market? Bananas is the best way to describe it. It's crazy right now. We've really had, I don't know how much everyone's been following, but we have a lot of buyers on the market right now and not a lot of homes coming on the market. So we're definitely in a seller's market. So if you're considering moving, right now you'll be looking at probably the most primo time. Again, it's a seller's market. Most of the homes that I put on the market end up with at least 9 offers within 3 days of being on the market. They're going well over asking price. Had them go as high as 60,000 over asking price. Again, it depends on the house and the location, but we definitely are in a shortage. We've had really great interest rates that are adding to that as well. So we really are in a definitely, if you're moving and you're selling a house, that's about the best position you can be in at the moment. So the typical homeowner, this is for the United States. If you owned a home last year in 2020, you probably accumulated about $24,000 in house wealth. So your price of your home has gone up about that much in the last year. And if you look at the United States, you can see it's it's really no one's immune. Everybody is getting definite equity. So it's across the country. This particular sheet shows here that we've got about $21,000 in equity for Minnesota year over year. And again, that depends on if you are in a small town or if you're in the metro area, but certainly if you are in the metro area, you are definitely going to see an increase in your home price. And this second one here looks at inventory. So how much inventory we have on the market compared to last year at this time. And this was February, this is pre-COVID, but we're down about 47% across Minnesota as far as the number of homes that are on the market. So definitely we are in a shortage, and I think COVID had a lot to do with it. A lot of people are working from home and that type of thing. And, maybe it's hard for them to move with all the different dynamics of kids being at home and really using their homes for such a different way than we used to. But we hope that kind of lightens up. And I definitely have seen more houses coming on the market, but we desperately need more. And then, of course, one of the other driving factors for the huge increase in buyers that are out there are the low interest rates. So they've stayed low. We were down in the 2s for a very long time, several months, and then have kind of creeped back up into the 3%. But again, overall, that's very, very low. So that's helping with the buyer power. That's helping with people to afford more homes. But again, it's also feeding into the home frenzy. So that has been a big impact on the number of buyers that are out there. And I get this question a lot, is when is the best time to sell? So commonly the best time to sell, people always say, let's wait till spring, let's sell our home in the spring market. That's definitely the case. However, I will say January was the spring market this year, and it's continued. So definitely on a historic level, that April, May, and June are a great time to sell, because most people are getting ready to go. If they're having kids in school and that type of thing, or they're making that transition, they want to get settled before school starts. But I think this year they're actually predicting the entire year will stay pretty busy, and they're not expecting a big slowdown in those summer months. So when we look at when we look at housing and inventory on the market, obviously the best situation for buyers and sellers combined is if we had a neutral market. So if we had a great, if every house on the market sold, and how long would it take? So a balanced market is 6 to 7 months. A buyer's market would be if it's greater than 7 months, and a seller's market would be if it's less than 6 months. Now, I will say that the average time on a home, the average amount of time a home is on the market is probably less than 3 days. So I think we were running at about a 0.7 on average month. It'd take like 3 weeks in order to sell the inventory that we have. So it's very, very much a seller's market. And I'm just going to go over a couple real quick. I think most of you are probably living in the Ramsey County area, but this is looking at February of last year, and just a few things to point out. If you look at the new listings category, we're down 50%. So 50% fewer new listings. Closed sales were up. And again, that contributes to the fact that these houses are selling very quickly. The median sale price was 16%. Average sale price was up 16% as well. We have days on market here at 41. That can take into consideration new construction, so that kind of skews that. But if you look at that last column, month supply of inventory, we're looking at a 0.5. So it's 66% down from even a strong market last year. So, these numbers kind of speak for themselves that we definitely have an inventory shortage. And I broke it down in a couple areas where I knew people coming on the call or on this webinar today lived. So again, interesting, Maplewood has more homes. And again, always everything's very local. So there's a few more listings in Maplewood, but still the average price range is up 12% year over year. Days on market is down by half, and there's still less than a month's, only 2 weeks supply of inventory. Same for Roseville, we're down on listings. Again, a half, 2 weeks supply of inventory on the market, up overall 9%. So again, just we're seeing pretty consistent numbers across the board. St. Paul, and again, St. Paul has a lot of different neighborhoods and different areas, but listings are down, their days on market are down, and sales prices are up. And Shoreview's the same way. And if you want any specifics on where you live, I certainly can get that for you. So just a little bit more about selling your home and COVID-19. So obviously we've had a lot of questions and a lot of concerns, and the priority is always keeping everybody safe. So a few things that we've done, we always ask our sellers to, wipe down those surfaces, the high touch surfaces, doors, doorknobs, light fixtures. We always encourage everyone to keep their lights on and keep the closet doors open a little bit so that people aren't having to touch everything when they go through. But inevitably, if you tell someone not to touch something, adults are like children. You're going to touch something. It's just a natural thing to want to touch the granite or touch the open a drawer, that type of thing. So we always tell people just to make sure they're wiping things down. And of course, we really encourage people not to show homes when they're sick or not to allow their homes open. And then again, leaving those blinds and lights and everything else open as much as you can. I always do a basket with gloves and shoe covers and hand sanitizer and extra masks. I really haven't seen a problem. Leave that at the front door. I really haven't seen a problem with people not respecting that. And I'm out with a lot of people. Generally speaking, we do not encourage people to be more than one party to be at the house at one time. So some will. I personally don't allow more than one person in, but more than one group in, I should say. And that becomes a little bit of a problem because a lot of the homes are getting 50 to 100 showings in 2, 3, 4 days, and people want to get in. So we have allowed, basically minimize the showing times. So we have fewer people, we have a half an hour showing instead of an hour. So we can get more bodies through the house over a weekend or over a few days. But again, we really encourage just the buyer and seller, not bringing extra family members. making sure the masks are worn at all times. And if we are in a home with more than one party, if another agent does have someone with them, maybe the listing agent and the seller allow it, we just keep our distance from each other. So it's definitely, I could say that I've sold homes and never stopped through all of COVID, and we just made sure we were safe and responsible. And it's really been, I really haven't heard of any issues at all through it. So I know that's a big concern for sellers too. And some of my sellers ended up moving out prior to listing and that kind of thing if their comfort level wasn't there. So the other thing I wanted to cover on my end too was, preparing yourself for a move and kind of what does that look like? So again, I think the big thing is kind of, where are you going to go? So we've got people, are you relocating out of state, buying a different home? A lot of people are moving in with family. That might scare some of you, but some are considering multi-generational homes and that type of thing. And then maybe you're renting. So again, the size always matters as far as how much stuff do you have now and where does it need to go and do you still need it? What's the different options for you? Some people will reside in their home while they're selling it. And sometimes that causes a lot of stress, or maybe there's potentially some health issues, or you don't want to have to get moving in the morning. If you do have, let's say you're moving to maybe a senior community, I do recommend that you move there first. Sometimes that's a better option for you because you wouldn't have to deal with the people coming in and out of the house. And typically these, or again, staying with family is another option, because typically homes are selling in a couple days. What I typically do is I put them on the market on Thursday, and by Sunday we're looking at multiple offers. So, it's not a long period of time, but again, that's a lot of stress on people. And sometimes they do choose to move to the next location, get settled in, and then let me just deal with the actual move itself as far as showing the home and that type of thing. So there's lots of options out there, and a lot of it is comfort level. And certainly with the market as hot as it is, if it's a vacant home, it's really not going to matter. When we talk about staging, and obviously we want your house to look well, to look good, and to be in great condition, but you definitely do not have to have a occupied home in this market. Oops, I think I just went past here. And again, the big thing to do is, I think is important, is just planning ahead and setting realistic timeframes, meeting with a real estate agent, meeting with someone like, with like Gentle Transitions, a company like Gentle Transitions, just to really know, what's coming up, what needs to be done ahead of time, so you're not rushed. Start thinking about, and I know Jill will cover a lot of this, but thinking about what you should be donating, what family members might want things. And again, that's probably the biggest one I have, is people waiting for family members to pick things up from the house. Cleaning, your carpeting, making necessary repairs. Again, things like wallpaper, which in a normal market might be an issue, they just aren't an issue right now. So I'm honestly not having people do a whole lot of repairs to get their homes ready to go. Obviously, cleanliness and having it organized and that type of thing and staged, or not, unless it's vacant, are good ideas. But typically you do not need to do all the things that we were doing in the past when we had longer market times, when it was more of a balanced market. Oops. And I'm going backwards here. So again, my biggest thing is don't panic. There's lots of resources out there. And I have a lot of resources as well if you need things done. I know Jill's company has a ton of resources. So there's a lot of people out there that are able to really help get things done quickly, and you don't have to worry about knowing a handyman or that type of thing. We have people that are available to do those types of things. So if you are curious about the price of your home, or kind of where to start, I certainly can come out and talk to you. I know a couple of you already have, but it's certainly never too soon. And I have some people that I'll meet, and maybe they don't move for 5 years, but it's nice to kind of get a game plan. So feel free to reach out to me if that's something you want to do. And I am going to turn you over to Jill next.
And I should be unmuted, I hope.
Okay, there you are. All right.
Hopefully everybody can hear me, which is
Okay, and I'm
wonderful.
going to get
Excellent.
there. Okay.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. This is really fun. As a sorter, I've been working with general transitions for about 5 years, but I've been a sorter for over 40. I'm that person in the family that was called to help people go through closets. So it's something that I'm used to doing. Let me tell you a little bit about what General Transitions is. We are what they call a senior move management company. That means everyone that gives us a call works with one move manager that helps you coordinate the entire move from start to finish, or they can help tailor make your move. If you're just looking for somebody to help you with the packing or the unpacking, things like that. We also just do sorting. So people aren't ready to move yet, but they want to start. And if you take anything away that I say today, hear me say, start early. Start a year before you move, because the decisions you make, you want those to be yours. If we wait until we get into a crisis situation or we're in a hurry to sell, those decisions can be taken away from you and you have to start getting rid of things you're not quite ready to do. So start as early as you can. And most people feel that they have a little bit of a burden when they first start downsizing, and we all do. But sometimes people don't recognize it. I have two wonderful adopted grandmas, 99 and 100. And when we first started downsizing them, I was standing in the hallway and I was standing in front of the linen closet. And I said to Norma, where should we start? Why don't we start here in the linen closet? And she said, don't open that door. And I thought, okay, now I know it, where we need to start. So we opened the door and it was packed, which often linen closets are because we store things in them and they're somewhat deep. So we keep pushing things to the back. I asked her, does this bother you? And she said, oh no, I just walk really fast past the closet. So you know that it was a burden. We downsized that linen closet. She had 35 towels for one person. We went down to 4 towels because she's single and she does laundry once a week. We found Christmas presents that she forgot were there. Once we got it all sorted, the next time I came, I said, how are you feeling about the closet? And she said, you know, I haven't even thought about it. And that's what sorting does. It gets us a feeling of being prepared. So the first thing I'm going to do today, I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to start talking and I'm going to share a wonderful cartoon that I love. It's the Zitz cartoon from the Star Tribune. And Jeremy is 24, just finished college, and he's helping his mom put things in the attic. Here you go, Mom. Thanks, Jeremy. What is all this junk? Mostly things we're saving for you. These boxes are your elementary school papers and art projects. That trunk is where I store your middle and high school memorabilia. And we thought you'd want all this old furniture, plus grandma's china cabinet and knickknacks for your first apartment. Notice the box of teapots and doilies. And Jeremy's face. Mom, my first apartment will be a backpack that I carry around the world between gigs. She looks at her son and she goes down to her husband and she says, our attic has been living a lie. So most of us have attics, storage rooms, closets, where we've stored things for our kids, or our kids have stored things for themselves. Now we're thinking of moving and we still have those things. And Betsy kind of alluded to it as well, that sometimes when you're moving, it's hard to get the kids to take those things. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I usually always give them a deadline, and 2 weeks is a good deadline for them to get things out of the house, especially if you're thinking about putting it on the market. So I talk to people because moving and downsizing is a number 10 on the psychological stress scale. That's only behind death and divorce. If you're thinking it's a little overwhelming, it is. And that's why it's good to know that professionals are out there. There's a lot of different professionals that can help you with handyman projects and carpeting and window cleaning. And we have a lot of those resources. When you work with that one move manager at our company, I consider them, or I kind of describe them as the wedding planners of your move because they help you with all the details. So they have all those resources and take care of that for you. We moved over 1,200 people last year. So we've been around now for 31 years. We were the first company in the United States that does what we do. And we do it every week and every day. So what I love is that I can come out and share those tips and secrets with people because our mission at General Transitions is to get people from point A to point B with the least amount of stress as possible. So sharing what we know, because we do know that the majority of people have family move them, sharing those secrets and tips is going to help you along that process. So I will go through what General Transitions does because our process will be your process. We do the complimentary move assessment, and that means that when you call us and you say, I'm thinking of moving, I'd like someone to come out and kind of tell me how much it will cost, tell me what you can do. That move manager will come out, spend some time with you, ask you what services you're looking for. They'll walk around your home, give you suggestions as to whether or not you need a downsizer to help or a family to help you downsize. Then we also can do the sorting, which is the downsizing, and we work one-on-one with you. We pack, we move, we unpack you, and we resettle, which means that all the way down to pictures on the wall, you're ready to go. It is an incredible relief to have somebody help you do that or do that for you. My parents used General Transitions about 5 years ago, and that's where I first learned of them. And I love the process of them still being in charge, but somebody taking care of all the details. That was a big plus for them because they wanted to stay in control, but have somebody help them. So why is downsizing and moving difficult for older adults? Well, we're often leaving a home of many years. Sometimes people have been in their houses 50, 60 years. And when we moved in, we had a lot less than than we do now. People experience physical challenges. Our backs and necks and knees aren't what they used to be. Um, the emotional piece, that is often the biggest obstacle aside from just sorting itself to people moving because we're attached to things. If we weren't attached to them, it'd be so much easier to let things go. And children aren't always available. Maybe they don't live in the same state. Maybe they don't live in the same country. I had a wonderful woman tell me that her daughter called from Colorado, said she was coming in for the weekend and they were going to get it all done. You cannot do it in one weekend. It is too stressful and too hard and exhausting. Once you start downsizing, you'll realize that you can maybe only do it for a couple hours at a time, if even that, because you're making decisions along with getting rid of things. I recommend this book, and I talk a lot about it just because it's by Marnie Jameson, and she talks about downsizing her own family's home and how the emotional piece kind of fits in with it. It's called Downsizing the Family Home, What to Save, What to Let Go. And I took away 6 things from this book because I noticed that I was experiencing it over and over again with the people I was helped sort. So number 1, they're just things. At the end of working through our emotional piece, they are just things. Chances of us having something of incredible value is rare, antique roadshow type value. So you need to really look at that object. And if you're having trouble getting rid of it or deciding to let it go, set it aside and do something that's easy, like your junk drawer or your linen closet. And I guarantee you, the more you sort, the more you go through things and let them go, when you revisit that item, you'll think differently about that item. Number two, age does not confer value. An antique is 100 years old. If it doesn't have market value, meaning it's rare and desirable and people want to buy it, it isn't worth possibly what you think it is. So if you have antiques and you think they might be worth something, now is the time to have an appraiser come in and look at it, or take pictures of them and bring them into your local antique store or consignment shop and ask them what they think. Are people buying this? Is this worth something? Once you get those questions answered, it's a lot easier to make those decisions. Worth is a worthless term. This is where I talk about collections versus collectibles. If you have collectibles and you think they're worth something, that is when you bring an appraiser in and have them look at it. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment because I want to show you something. I collect flying pigs. I love flying pigs. I love the thrill of the hunt to find a flying pig. But my kids have already said they don't want the flying pigs. They're worth nothing, but I love them. We love our collections. But if you don't have the space, maybe take a couple that are your favorites and then take pictures of your collection. I had a wonderful client she had many birdhouses. She was taking one that she loved. She loved them all, but she couldn't take them. And what we did was take a picture of each, and we made a Shutterfly book or a Walgreens book. You can go and upload your pictures. And then we wrote a little paragraph about each, and it came in the mail, and it was only about this thin. And she was so excited. She said, I'm bringing my birdhouses, because she was bringing all those memories with her, but not necessarily the items. So that's what I collect. Maybe you collect something else. Another thing people collect a lot of is cookbooks. We love our cookbooks. Thank goodness a lot of them are online now. And a lot of clients I work with are able to get rid of their cookbooks once they learn how to get online and see all the incredible recipes you can look at online. And you can also watch people make the item, which is really fun. So making that transition can be really helpful if you have shelves and shelves of cookbooks. Or go through the ones that you've earmarked over the years and copy them, and then let the book go, but take those recipes that you really love. All right, I'm going to share my screen again. Number 4, wholesale versus retail. You won't get back what you paid for something. Most things don't increase in value. That can be hard, because if you purchased a $1,200 Ethan Allen dining room set that was beautiful in its day, you used it, but the kids aren't buying that for their new homes. They're going to IKEA and Target. So the value goes down to maybe $400. That's good to find that out, because it's easier to let it go. Number 5, condition matters. For value and donation. If you wouldn't give it to your kids, don't give it to donation, especially now during the pandemic, because so many people are going through their things and bringing them to charity that they're being kind of overflowing, and they're being a little more picky. So you want to make sure things are in good condition. Number 6 is remember your goal. Your goal is to open your space. Maybe you're not moving right away, but you want to get those spaces cleared out. You want to make your own decisions. You do not want to pass on the burden to your family. And you want to make the transition eventually easier and less expensive. That's really important, the less expensive part, because a two-bedroom home that is packed, has not been gone through, can be much more expensive than moving a five-bedroom home that's been downsized. So it saves you a lot of money to start going through those things. This is just a little diagram that I love because in the middle is fears and pressures. We all fear that we are the only ones with too much stuff, and you are not if you have that feeling. And we all feel pressured at some point by our family, maybe our kids, that keep telling us you have to go through this stuff because they don't want it left for them and they don't want to make the decisions that might not be yours. So you can see memories. People hold on to things because they hold memories for them. Taking pictures of those items can mean you can let that go. If you have a lot of pictures in picture frames put away in storage, take them out of the picture frames, donate the picture frames, and get a portfolio book, just like a book with lots of pages, and just put it in the portfolio and save the pictures if you'd like. But the difference is bins and bins of pictures and frames versus a smaller portfolio just to bring along with you when you move. Perceived value is another reason it's hard to let go because we think something is our nest egg. If you think that, have somebody look at it. I can't stress that enough. If you don't know what things are worth, it's harder to make those decisions. Number three, I love because it's gifts, especially in Minnesota. We are Minnesota nice. So if someone gives something to us, even though we only put it out when they visit, we keep it. So I'll give you a rule of thumb. I always tell people if they ask, where is that thing I gave you? Which they shouldn't do, but sometimes they do. I say, I loved it and I passed it on to somebody else now who can enjoy it. That's all you need to say. Sometimes the gifts are from your kids and you're holding on to that because you think that they might feel bad if you get rid of it. Ask. Maybe they would want it back. Maybe they forgot they gave it to you. Maybe they're more concerned about your well-being and how you're feeling about lifting that burden. So talk to them about those items. You'd be surprised. The next thing is personal identity. We hold on to things because we want people to know what we've accomplished in our lifetime. We hold on to those old sports pictures. We hold on to things so that we can someday have our kids go through those boxes and see what we did. Don't wait for that. Start taking those things out and talking about them. Share that with your kids and your grandkids and great grandkids. Tell them those stories. My same adopted grandmothers that I told you about, when I moved them, they had told me when I met them that they were incredible secretaries in the 1940s. They were sought after, they were efficient. So when we moved them, they insisted on bringing 5 huge boxes of office supplies. And I said, okay, we'll take it, but we're going to put it in storage for just 2 weeks and we're going to start going through it. So they moved. I brought up the first box. I opened it up and Donna looked inside and she said, why did we take this? And I reminded her that it was because you wanted to remind people and tell them what great secretaries you were. And she said, oh, they already know that. We told them. Talk about your accomplishments and things that you did in your lifetime. Write it down, record it. It will be cherished by your family if they have you to talk to about it. The next one is legacy items. Legacy items are those heirlooms that we told our grandparents and our parents that we would be good stewards of them. We would be responsible for them. And when the time was right, we would pass them down. Now's the time to pass them down, but the kids are going, no, we don't want to have to polish silver. We don't use crystal. We don't use china. That has changed, but we still have the items that we feel responsible for. So that's a family discussion. Talk about if they don't want the sterling silver, maybe there's someone else that would like it. Maybe you can sell it and split the money between all your grandkids. There's a lot of different things you can do, but take out those items that mean a lot to you, especially if they're put away and the kids have not heard about them or seen about them or know the story behind them. If they know the story, they'll be more apt to want to hold on to those items. Case in point, when I got married, my mother in law said, "Do you want the punch bowl?" And I said, "Sure." And she brought out in a blanket the most beautiful two-piece crystal punch bowl set I've ever seen. And I said, "That's lovely." And she said, "I'm so glad you say that because it's from 1794. It was passed down in her family." And I said, "Don't the other kids want it?" And she said they've never seen it. I was always afraid that it would get broken, so I've never brought it out. Well, I took that punch bowl, and every single holiday and event that I've had at my house, I have punch in that punch bowl. My 24-year-old daughter has already said, "I want the punch bowl," because she not only knows the history, it's a part of her history now. So take those items out and start talking about them. Listen here, mister, there's no such thing as too much Tupperware. All right, I'm going to share my, I'm not going to share my screen. I'm going to show you something. This is not Tupperware. These are the things that we accumulate that we think are too good to let go. So we bring them back from the store, we eat what's inside and we wash them and we start putting them in our cupboards. And we put more in our cupboards and we start piling it up. You don't need to do that anymore. These are wonderful to recycle. If you have Tupperware or Rubbermaid, those are great things to keep or to give to donation because people want those nice items. I recommend to save at least 10 with tops, different sizes, because we all know there are more places to get these. Maybe you're like me who used to accumulate them because I cook a lot over the holidays and I wanted to give leftovers to my nieces and nephews and my kids. And I used to save them for that. Now I tell them all to bring their own. Bring your own baggies, bring your own Tupperware. I will fill them up and you can take them away. Sometimes people want us at Gentle Transitions to move 2 drawers of Tupperware, even more. You don't want to pay to move items like this. This is a great thing to start downsizing your Tupperware drawer or your Tupperware cupboard. It will be amazing once you see the work that you've done and that you don't have to accumulate them anymore. All right, I'm going to share my screen again. So now the sorting process begins. When I come into somebody's home, we usually sit down. We talk about, before making final decisions, talk about your new lifestyle. Even if it's in place, you're not moving yet, but you want to have more time and space to do things. You also want to figure out what places you're going to be donating things to. Once you know where to bring things, it's a little bit easier of a process because you fill things up and you bring them to the location you've already thought about. Some of the questions I talk to people about are really important because before you go and start looking in closets, you're creating a dialogue in your head. You've already thought about what kind of space you want to live in. So if we talk about not cooking for the holidays anymore, maybe you've passed that on and you still have the big platters. When we go to that closet, you've already talked about that once, and it's a little bit easier to decide what to do with it rather than going through that process with every single item. So these are a few of the questions. Will you be doing your own cleaning? Maybe you have 2 or 3 bathrooms. And when we use cleaning supplies, maybe they don't work. We don't get rid of them. We just put them under the sink and everything gets pushed farther and farther under the sink. Now's the time to get rid of those things. And a lot of clients I work with go down to one bucket and they carry it around with them when they clean. So they don't accumulate things that they're not going to use. Will you be cooking and has that changed? Maybe you were a baker that isn't going to keep baking. You're going to do something else that you enjoy. So you have that KitchenAid mixer and all those pots and pans. Those are things that would be wonderful to donate. So maybe that has changed to you're cooking not for a family of 6 or 4, you're cooking for yourself and your spouse, and you don't need 7 frying pans. Maybe you can go down to a small, medium, and large. So think about how you're cooking and how has that changed. Next one is, will you be entertaining and how will you be entertaining? As I said, maybe you're not doing the holidays anymore. You've passed that on, but you're still doing Bible study, book club, poker night, small gatherings. A lot of people now are switching to more casual entertaining. So they're using paper products rather than china, crystal, and sterling. So think about how you're entertaining. Is it casual? Or is it where it used to be a luncheon or a dinner, now you have hors d'oeuvres or snacks? That's a big question because a lot of us that have entertained have a lot of those things put away in cupboards. And you're going to have to make those decisions. And with that in your head about how you're going to be entertaining going forward will make it easier. Do you need all your holiday decorations? This is a hard one because we love to decorate for the holidays. I love asking people when I do this in person to raise their hand if they have one bin of holiday decorations. And I inevitably get one person to raise their hand that says, one bin for every holiday? Maybe. But I encourage you to bring out those bins during the holiday and only put out those things that you want to have pride of place, that you want to really showcase and that you love and enjoy, and start giving away the other things to charity or having family look at. I used to do my whole house for Christmas, and now I just do maybe the living room and the guest bathroom and the kitchen. So I've narrowed that down so I don't have as many bins in my storeroom. Will you be doing your own maintenance? If you're moving to a community or an apartment building or condo, maybe they have a maintenance person that will be doing that for you. So if you live in a home now with a garage with lots of tools, you're not going to need all of those. If you have a lot of those items, many people have what is the garage sale. And I kid you not, people love tools. So if you're a garage sale person, just opening up your garage and having a sale, you'll have people coming out of the woodwork. They just love when people have tools. If you're not going to do that and you want to donate them, there are wonderful places that Betsy and I know of that take things like this. There's Habitat for Humanity. There's Leonardo's Basement that teaches kids how to use power tools. There are great places to donate. So at Gentle Transitions, I told you about the complimentary move assessment. So when somebody's moving or they're thinking of downsizing, they call us and say, I'd like somebody to come out. That move manager comes out to speak with you. They are not salespeople. They consider themselves as educators. They've been doing this for a long time and they're a wealth of information. So they will come out and look through your home, help you figure out if you need to downsize. They will leave you with an estimate for our services and an estimate for the truck because we vetted certain trucking companies that we use on a regular basis every week. They know our process and we know their process. So we give out an estimate for them as well. Then if somebody calls us back and says, yes, we'd like to work with you, that same move manager will come back. They will get the floor plan from wherever you're moving. And they will walk around your house with you and figure out what you're going to take and what will fit. So if you're moving yourself, your floor plan will be your primary reference. If you're moving to an older building, you want to do your own measurements as well on your floor plan, because floor plans are done when the building is built, and there could be some adjustments over the years as they remodel. So do your own measuring. Measure in the kitchen, the cupboards, the width and the depth, because a lot of newer cupboards are smaller than we're used to in older homes. Also, measure your closet rods so you know the amount of clothing that you can take. That's really important, because when we look at a place that is maybe doesn't have furniture or has minimal furniture, it will seem bigger to you than it actually is. And I tell you, kitchens fill up really fast. A lot of the drawers are shallower than we're used to. And if you have a pantry, knowing ahead of time where you can put things is really important. But if you don't have a pantry and you only have a few cupboards, then a lot of those bigger appliances will need a place to go. So use your floor plan as your primary reference. Here's 20 bucks. Make sure the plaid chair never gets there. I love this cartoon because it reminds me to tell people, when you're doing your floor plan, take those things that are familiar to you. If you spend most of your time in your den, take that chair that you sit and watch the news in at night next to the table with the lamp you can turn on without looking. That will make it easier to acclimate to your new space, make it less stressful, and ultimately more enjoyable. So now you're ready. You've had that dialogue in your head, you've answered questions. Now it's time to get the boxes ready. The first thing I do is make a box and put a black garbage bag inside. Only black garbage bags, because then you'll forget what you put inside. The worst thing is when you fill up a garbage bag and don't put it in your car right away for donation, or you don't put it in the trash right away, and you start revisiting it and taking things back out. Don't want to do that. So get your trash bag ready. Putting it in a box is really helpful because you're not dragging it around with you. It'll save your back. The next thing we do is we make boxes for donation and a box for hazardous. If you live in a home where you have all that old paint down in your storeroom, things like that, put it all in a box and take it to your county's recycling center. Every county has one, and you just drive up, they take it out of your car, and away you go. You can even bring full items of cleaning supplies because they have shelves that they use for donation. And then your donation box is really important, because once you fill it up, put it in your car, because you've already talked about where you're going to bring things. And then you can drop it off right away instead of having it in your car for weeks on end until you figure out what to do with it. Then, because when I'm going through somebody's house, we're ultimately going to find things that maybe they want the kids to look at, make a bag for everybody or a box, put their name on it, and we usually line a wall. As we go through closets and storerooms and rooms, we find things for the kids, maybe a yearbook, and you want to ask that person if they want it, put it in their bag or box. Give them a deadline, usually 2 weeks. Tell them to come look in their box. If they want anything, take it. If they don't, grab that bag and put it in your car and take it to donation. If you have someone out of state, either use your iPhone or have somebody take a picture of it for you, text it to that person and ask if they want it. I guarantee you'll get a text message back very soon that will probably say no thank you, but then you know, and you've checked with everyone. At Gentle Transitions, we use dots for communication tools. The dots that you have, that you use like for garage sales, we use green for things that are going with you. We use yellow for things that you're undecided about, whether or not they'll fit in your floor plan. And we use red for things that are damaged or things that need to go away. There are lots of different colors. So you can either use these three or add a color for each kid if you like. These are wonderful tools for communicating, because if you're doing your kitchen and you're going through, I always go through clockwise, and you take everything out of a cupboard and only put the things back in that you use on a regular basis that you want to take with you. And once that has been downsized, put a green sticker on that cabinet. Pretty soon, when you're done with your kitchen, you will have green stickers on everything that needs packing. Then you can just tell a family member, pack all the cabinets that have the green sticker. That's a great communication tool, and they can help you out, and they know what you're taking with you. You can do that for any room in your home. So the greens are things you know are going with you. These include your photos and heirlooms. Photos I get asked about a lot. If you have lots of boxes with loose photos, what I recommend is get a photo pen and a garbage. Sit in that chair that you watch the news at night and go through the pictures. If it's landscape or things you don't even know what it is, toss it. If it's an ancestor or somebody that doesn't have their name on the back, put the name on the back. Then put them all back in the box and give the kids the box. They will probably digitize it anyway. So at least they have everything with a name on it. That's really important. If you have a big box of photos and that's a little overwhelming, get a shoebox or a small box and fill it up a little bit and do it a shoebox at a time. You don't need to be putting these things in albums. If you have an overwhelming amount of pictures, I recommend to people have a family picture party. Get everybody together, designate one person as your copy person, because you might find one picture that everybody wants, and they can be the copy person. Then it's so much fun to go through your albums, relive memories, share memories your kids might not have heard. And then if you have a photo album of a trip you took, maybe save one or two pictures from that trip. That's how you take your memories and you still have room for them. So the yellow stuff, the getting rid of stuff. Now you've put everything in your floor plan. Maybe you're going to have an estate sale. Maybe an antique appraiser needs to look at them. You're bringing it to consignment, giving it to family or charitable organizations. Just a couple notes on some of these. Estate sales. We moved 1,200 people last year. Only 5% had estate sales. And there's a reason for that. Is they need you to have enough stuff that they value because they get paid first. So you want to have 2 or 3 of them come and give you an estimate. You want to make sure that they advertise. Do they not only have a mailing list, but they advertise on social media? You want to make sure they're bonded, insured, and licensed. And you want to ask them, do you set up and do you also clean up and help me with things that don't sell on the sale? You want to make sure that they offer all those services. Antique appraisers, often estate sale people have them that they can recommend. Consignment stores are really getting picky these days, but it's worth asking. Don't bring a carload of stuff without an appointment. And if you're not sure if they'd accept it or not, take pictures of things and just drop by one day and ask them if they can take a look at the pictures and see if there's any value. Maybe you want to give some stuff to family, charitable organizations. Usually people have somebody they want to donate to, but do your research ahead of time and figure out where things are going to go when it's time. The reds that you put red stickers on, maybe they're things that need to go in a dumpster or bagster. Bagsters are awesome. You can pick them up at a Menards, Home Depot, hardware store for about $29. You put them on your driveway, or they have come with great instructions. You can put anything into these except electronics or hazardous. It's a great way to clean out a garage, and then you call for a pickup, and usually they come within 3 days. It may cost around $100 for them to pick it up, but it is well worth it in one full swoop to get your garage cleaned out or get items out in a quick way to get rid of them. And when they pick them up, it doesn't all go in a landfill. Often they will pick out the recycling things and they will recycle what needs to be sent to recycling. If you're choosing your own mover, So if you work with general transitions, that move manager will handle the mover. You don't need to do that. But if you're choosing your own mover, make sure that they're local and residential, that they have been in business for years, that they are bonded, insured, and licensed, because that's your recourse if something gets broken. And also ask them if they've moved to this location before, especially during the time of COVID, because every single place has their own policy right now. And you want to make sure that they're up on that policy. If you're moving to a community, you want to make sure that the movers know that move-in policy, because if they are moving your things and they have to unload it at one side of the building and your apartment is on the second floor and they can only use one elevator and they have not put that in their estimate, your estimate can skyrocket on time. So make sure that they know what the move-in policy is. So general transitions packs and moves in 2 days. The first day is pack day. If a house is downsized, we can pack that house in 4 to 6 hours. Your move manager will figure out how many packers they need that day. And the same person that packs up your kitchen is going to unpack it the next day. So they're paying close attention to where you like things. Where do you like your spices? On the right or left of the stove? Do you have upper cabinets where you keep all your holiday things? They're going to try to put that in the familiar areas, depending upon as much as they can do in your new place. So that's efficient. When you know that you're packing things you're going to unpack the next day, that saves time. And because we do it every day, we're really good at it. So the next day is unpack and resettle day. This is when the move manager shows up at your home. They're packing the bedding and anything in the kitchen used the night before. Your truck arrives and the guys are loading the boxes and the furniture. Once that is done, then your move manager calls your crew to come and meet at the new place to unpack. So what we do is we make the beds, we put clothes in the closets, we plug in your lamps, we set your clocks, make sure your computer's up, and we even hang the artwork so that you are all done. So if you're moving yourself to a fun community, you want to jump in right away meeting your neighbors. If you get bogged down every day trying to get out of boxes, it's not as fun and you're missing fun things. So make sure that if family is unpacking you, that you've made a plan on the days they're going to help you unpack. I can give you one suggestion. If family's moving you in your new apartment, look at where all the outlets are, because they're usually lower by the baseboards, and take a little blue piece of painter's tape and put it higher on the wall. Because as you move furniture in, you're not going to have to run around and look for all the outlets. You're going to know where they are. That's what we do. And that will save you a lot of time and backache in the long run, because you'll know where you plug things in. So General Transitions is known for photographing and replicating, because we want to recreate your space the way that you design. We don't want to change your designs. So for example, if you have a china cabinet, all of our packers carry iPhones or iPads. And what we do is take a picture of each shelf. Then when it's packed in a certain way, when the china cabinet gets to your new place and it's been polished, everything is going to go back with the pictures exactly the way you had it. We don't want to redesign your area. We want to make it so it's most familiar to you, because that keeps our stress level down, gives us less anxiety, and we're able to jump into our new lifestyle right away. It's also good for proof of condition. So if you're moving yourself, take pictures of your items, because that can be your recourse if you hire a company and something breaks, that you can show them that these are the pictures. It's also always good to do for insurance purposes, that you know that you have these things. We also photograph and replicate people's refrigerators. Seems like a small thing, but our refrigerators become the hubs of our homes. They have our calendar, maybe phone numbers that we call frequently, pictures of loved ones, invitations. So when you move and you don't recreate that stuff on the fridge and you have to call the vet, or you have an event to go to and you can't find the invitation, everything will be in the same place that you're used to. So tell your family, take a picture of my refrigerator and I want it back the same way. That'll be amazing. All right. This is my summary. One day, son, all this will be yours. I'm hoping this is a garage and not a storage unit. You don't want to leave this for your kids, and you don't want to have to deal with this for long term on your own. So, getting family to do it for a couple weekends or hiring a company like General Transitions to help you go through these things, it's an amazing burden that gets lifted. And if you want to move and sell your home, you can do it a lot quicker, which, as Betsy said, is like right now or into the summertime. So you don't want to miss those opportunities. And when you get your sorting done ahead of time and your house is ready, then you decide when to make those decisions. So these are our move managers, and the couple in the middle are the people that own General Transitions, Diane and Bill. And they are just a wonderful group of people that our mission is to help people move with less stress and handle the details. So it's something to think about when you're going through that anxiety of having to sell your home and you need to start doing the preparation for it. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if people have questions, you can put it in the chat. And Betsy and I will make sure that we check on your questions and answer things. Betsy, did you have any questions that you think people might want to know?
Well, I guess my thoughts as I watch your presentation, and thank you because it's wonderful as usual. But I would say that even if you're not ready to move, it's such a good thing to start now. And when you're healthy and you're making your own decisions, because I've moved a lot of people over the years and a lot of people into senior communities and that type of thing. And sometimes health might change or circumstances change, and they're not able to go through their things, and that's given to somebody else, which is a burden to that other person, but it's also very hard for you too. So just being able to kind of get the ball rolling and keep yourself educated on it like you are today. Again, General Transitions is amazing. I've moved a lot of people that have worked with General Transitions, and they've moved into their apartment and had friends over for coffee the next day because it was completely set up the way it was when they were at home, and they have said it's the best decision they've ever made. But then I also will say too, I do see a lot of people burdened by their families, things that they've been storing for 20 or 30 years. And it's actually keeping them from moving or helping them, if someone needs to get out of the home they're in, it's too big, it's too much maintenance and that type of thing. They've kept it for years because of other people's things. And I just don't think that that's a fair thing for you to do. And I think a lot of times, a lot of those things are things that are at your house still because the person that has them really doesn't want them either, honestly. So just a good thing to keep in mind. And just know, if you look at even General Transitions, what's nice about them, they're not attached to anything in your house, so they can help you make real logical decisions, where sometimes the emotional part of it keeps you from getting rid of Johnny's artwork or that type of thing. So
I'd
I think
love
those
to
are all
share a
great
little
points.
story if I may.
Yeah.
It has to do with storing all your kids' things. I have three sisters, so my parents have four daughters. At one point, we were all going through so many transitions, we were dropping things off at my parents' house, and their basement literally looked like a furniture shop. We put so much in there, and they finally said, enough. What we're going to do is we're going to rent a storage unit for 1 month. You have 1 month to get your things out of storage, and then it's going to be auctioned off because we're only paying for 1 month. I can't tell you how fast we moved and got our stuff out of the house.
Mhm.
So if you have that kind of situation, that's a drastic thing, but boy, does it work.
All right, I'm just checking to see if there's any questions, and you can put them in the chat or the question and answer. I'm not seeing anything right now.
You can always give us a call too.
Yeah, definitely.
It always happens that after you sign off and then you think of things that you wish you would have asked.
Mhm.
Feel free to call Betsy or I and just ask us questions. Call General Transitions. Anybody that answers the phone can answer all your questions.
And again, if you're just kind of wanting to get started or just thinking about it and you're wondering about your home's value, or where do I get started, or what are my options, both of us can come out on it complimentary and give you some ideas and some suggestions. And again, if you're thinking, oh, do I need to replace this carpeting, or what do I need to do? I can tell you that, what are those steps to get going to kind of keep the ball rolling again, so that you're ready when that time comes that you want to move, or an apartment opens. Sometimes I know some of you are waiting for that type of thing, that you're ready to go and you're prepared.
I see we have one question from Linda. It says, how long is a quite good? How long? I'm not sure if you mean how long for Betsy, like how long before you put your home on the market, or how long before you call a company like us. Maybe both of us could answer that. The sooner the better. Even if you're not moving for a year, call General Transitions, and that they'll come out and do that free estimate for you. A quote.
Oh, maybe how much is a quote? How
Yeah.
long is a quote good for? Maybe is that what?
How long is a quote good? Oh, quote. Um, I would have them come out a year, 6 months before, because if they look around your home and you haven't downsized yet, they will give you a different quote, if you've downsized. So that can be a changing thing. Um, but sometimes knowing initially what it will cost is really helpful. Even if that's going to change within 6 months, which it'll probably go down just because you're starting to downsize. But at least and that can be great information to have. So I would say, call as soon as you can and have somebody come out, because that same move manager will be working with you. If you say, well, I'm not ready yet to move, but maybe we will be in a year or two. Maybe you don't want to call if you're not moving for a year, but it would be helpful to know. And then you kind of get a sense on what we do. And that's really helpful. It'll make you feel better going forward that there's somebody that can help you with all those different pieces. I hope
I
that
think your
answers.
point. Oh, I'm sorry. As I say, I think your point was really valid too. With again, not moving things that you just don't want to get rid of, also is going to cost you more money too. If you just move a bunch of stuff because you don't know what you don't want to deal with it, or you don't want to let go of it, it's going to cost more to move too. So that's another good reason to downsize, get rid of things.
I had a wonderful client who moved a very large filing cabinet, and he hadn't looked at it in 14 years. And his wife said they just keep moving it. So we finally went through it, and they didn't have to take it. And that was boxes and boxes of things that they didn't have to move.
Mm-hmm.
So go through things like that, or just give us a call and ask us questions. I'm not moving till so and so, or when do you suggest you come out? This is my situation. We're happy to help you over the phone.
Definitely. Let me see if there's any more questions here.
I don't see any more.
Don't see any other questions, but again, always feel free to give either one of us a call, and I'll send out an email with our contact information too. If things come up, feel free to reach out. But thank you so much for joining today. Jill, do you have anything else to share?
No, thanks everybody for letting us come into your homes.
Yep. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye
Bye-bye.
now.